Most earbuds that call themselves a new generation are the same product in a slightly different shell. The Sony WF-1000XM6 is not one of those. Sony had a best-selling earbud with the WF-1000XM5 and no real pressure to do more than tweak it. Instead, they rebuilt the noise cancellation, redesigned the fit, and brought in mastering engineers to refine the sound. 3 things the XM5 got close on, 3 things the XM6 gets right. If you've been waiting for an earbud upgrade that actually justifies the jump, one that moves the needle on noise cancellation, fit, and sound all at once, walking away from this one is going to cost you. As Sony's 6th iteration of the WF-1000XM series, the XM6 positions itself as the most advanced model yet. So let's start with what's actually changed, because there's quite a bit. First, the design. I've complained for many years about wireless earbuds slipping out of my ears, be it from sweat during a workout, getting caught in a torrential downpour, or just simply being too big to fit into my ears. Sony must have heard my qualms. Maybe they have a sixth sense, and that's why it's called the XM6, because they made 2 upgrades that directly combat these problems. The XM6 is 11% slimmer than the XM5, and that might sound like a minor tweak until you actually put them in your ears. Using collected ear data, the shape has been changed from round, which you see in the XM5, to more oval, and that makes a big difference for someone like me who has really small ear canals. They sit deeper and more securely in your ears, and they're going to angle upward in the canal rather than straight down. And if you wear earrings like I do, you're going to appreciate that angle adjustment immediately. They've also ditched the shiny exterior finish for an all matte look, and that also matters more than you think. If you've ever lost an earbud mid-run because the shiny finish got slippery with sweat, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now combine that with the IPX4 water resistance rating, which means that it can handle splashes from any direction, and these are finally earbuds that you don't have to baby at the gym. They can withstand some water, but they're not completely waterproof, so don't dunk them or use them while you're swimming or showering. Now for the battery, because that's been upgraded too. The XM5 gave you 5 hours of playback with the active noise cancellation on. The XM6 gives you 8 hours, and then it jumps to 12 hours with active noise cancellation turned off. With the case, you're also looking at 24 hours of playback, which is enough to get you through multiple work days. And speaking of the case, that's been refreshed too. It's sharper and more angular shaped than the XM5's rounded case. The bottom is also wider on its own so that it's going to be able to stand upright, and you still get the USB-C port and the sync button that are clearly positioned on the back. There's also a small LED light, which you can't see right now, but when the earbuds are in the case, it's going to tell you the charging status. It looks slightly bulkier than the XM5 case, but it still fits in a jeans pocket without any issue. And yes, this is a really exciting part. The case supports QI wireless charging, so you can just drop it on the pad overnight, no need trying to worry and find that cable. Now for the times when you're in a pinch, you get a 3-minute quick charge, and that will give you 1 full hour of playback on the earbuds. And there's also a new autosave power mode, which is going to extend the earbuds battery life when it's at 20% or lower. That's pretty sweet if you ask me. And then there's the noise cancellation hardware itself, which is easily the biggest upgrade of all. Sony replaced the QN1 processor that was in the XM5 with a new QN3E HD noise canceling processor. What does that mean? It means that it's 3 times faster. They also increased the microphone count from 6 per side to 8 per side, all feeding an adaptive NC optimizer that adjusts in real time based on your environment and fit. So all that tech jargon aside, there was no way that I was gonna leave you guys hanging without testing the ANC on the XM6. So I ran it through a couple scenarios and it passed every test. First test, ANC on, adaptive sound control enabled, and audio playing. I walked over to the break room, I popped my lunch in the microwave, and I returned to my desk. I couldn't hear the microwave running in the break room, which sits literally right outside of my office, but once I paused the audio, I was able to hear the microwave beep once it was done. Second test, ANC on, adaptive sound control enabled, and audio playing, but in a different scenario. I walked to the bathroom and I used the hand dryers, you know, the ones that sound like there's a small aircraft taking off. and I barely heard them. I actually had to pause the music to make sure that it was even working, and it was. So with the pool of competitor ANC headphones and earbuds expanding every day, the XM6 remains steadfast as the best ANC wireless earbuds on the market currently. And yes, I know that's my opinion, but from someone who has tested many wireless headphones and earbuds that have all claimed to have the best ANC tech, I have the stats to actually back it up. And if that's not enough for you, I'll let you in on another secret. I actually personally own a pair of Sony's WH-1000XM6 wireless headphones, and I've put my entire family onto them. No joke, everybody has a pair, and I must confess, I have multiple. So as a writer who needs absolute silence to fight back through that writer's block, active noise cancellation is not a luxury, it's a necessity for me, and I have to have the best. If you thought the ANC on the XM5 was impressive, trust me when I tell you the XM6 takes it to another level. By the way, if you want the full spec-by-spec breakdown of everything the XM6 has to offer, I have a complete written review linked in the description below. It'll cover everything that I talk about here today and some, so check that out if you want to go deeper. Now that we talked about how the XM5 compares to the XM6, let's talk about how the XM6 actually sounds, because this is where things get really interesting. If you're a Sony fan, then you know their signature sound. It's that fun, punchy V-shaped sound that pulls you in immediately. Energetic bass, lively highs, and a mid-range that just makes music feel good. That's been Sony's bread and butter, and one of the main reasons why I'm such a fan of their wireless gear. That's still here in the XM6, but they've added a few extra ingredients to make this sauce a little sweeter. What's that new ingredient, you ask? Well, it's nothing fancy. They just brought in world-renowned mastering audio engineers to co-develop the tuning, which is the same process that they applied to the WH-1000XM6 wireless headphones. The result that you get from that is a sound that keeps Sony's energy and character, but with layers of nuance and detail retrieval on top of that. Where the XM5 was a little wild and untamed, the XM6 is poised, precise when it needs to be, with just the right amount of edge. It doesn't feel clinical or cold, it still feels like a Sony wireless earbud, but it's a more mature version of that signature sound. So obviously, I put them through a full listening session across multiple genres, and here's what I found. For treble, I went straight to Frank Sinatra, specifically my two favorite tracks, Luck Be a Lady and The Way You Look Tonight. This is my personal benchmark for the upper frequencies because the horn arrangements are relentless. I'm talking saxophones, trumpets, trombones, cymbals clashing. If a pair of earbuds had any harshness or sibilance up top, Sinatra will expose it immediately. The XM6 passed the test without breaking a sweat. The brass was crisp and clear, even when I pushed them by raising the volume past enjoyable levels. I got no fatigue, no squeaking in the upper treble. The instruments simply glided through the arrangement exactly as they should. That engineer's input was truly evident here. Now for the mid-range, I spent some time with Somber's track 12 to 12. This is one of the newer Billboard hits that combines 1970s funk with 80s synth vibes. The falsettos in the chorus, the bass guitar, the textured piano, it all paved the way for a lively listening experience, and that's exactly what I got. The mid-range on the XM6 is colorful, musical, and extremely enjoyable. And when it comes to the low end, this is where I noticed the biggest change. I pulled up hip-hop artist Don Toliver's track Tuition with its deep bass melody and crisp hi-hats, and the XM6 delivered real impact and depth. It was visceral without becoming skull-rattling, and anybody who's found Sony's low end to be muddy or overwhelming in the past, well, you'll be pleasantly surprised here. They tightened it up considerably, making for a much more enjoyable listening experience. And if the default tuning isn't quite your preference, the Sony Sound Connect app gives you 8 EQ presets to work with, including 2 that you can set yourself. I ended up using EQ for some of the more bass-heavy tracks, and the difference was immediate. It really does put you in control of your own listening experience. Transparency mode is also worth a mention here because it's among the best I've ever tested. When you want to let the outside world in without taking the earbuds out, it sounds natural, not hollow or artificially processed. That's harder to pull off than it sounds. So who is this earbud actually built for? Honest answer, a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. If you're a commuter, the XM6 was practically designed around your life. You get the best-in-class ANC that shuts out transit noise without you having to think about it. And the adaptive sound control makes sure that you don't miss a single thing on the way to your destination. The adaptive sound control feature is genuinely clever and slightly creepy. So it reads your activity in real time, and then it switches modes automatically. When I got up and walked to the break room, it detected that I was moving. It disabled ANC, and then it switched over to ambient sound so that I could hear what was going on around me. But as soon as I sat back down, and I'm not kidding, as soon as I sat back down, because I had the app open and I watched it change, ANC switched back on. At first I was like, well, this is kind of creepy. It can tell when I sit back down, but hey, that's modern technology for you. Now, if that constant back and forth is going to bother you, you can just turn it off within the app and then manually enable ANC when you want it. But if you're someone like me who's using them at work and we've got incoming deliveries and I'm constantly collaborating with my coworkers, then it's a really handy feature to have. If you work from home or take a lot of calls, the XM6 is also for you. The call quality is excellent with dual beamforming microphones, a bone conduction sensor, and AI noise reduction all working together to isolate your voice and cut background noise on both ends of the call. I took several calls while I was testing these out, and including one where the other person was actually routing the audio through their car system, and the clarity was mutual on both ends. I couldn't tell that they were talking to me in their car, and they couldn't tell that I had earbuds in. And the speak to chat feature automatically lowers your music the moment you start talking so that you're never scrambling to find your phone and hit pause real quickly. If the gym is your primary use case, the matte finish and that IPX4 rating will finally give you a pair of earbuds that you don't have to stress about during a workout. The oval fit stays put, and 8 hours of battery with ANC on means that you're covered for even the most ambitious training sessions. And if you're just an audiophile who wants the best sounding true wireless earbuds available at this price point, this is it. The detail retrieval, the LDAC wireless transmission, the DSEE Extreme AI upscaling at $329.99. Nothing else in this category does what the XM6 does. Now, is it actually worth upgrading? If you're on the XM5 right now, the battery life jump alone makes a strong case. I mean, you're going from 5 hours to 8 hours with ANC on. And then when you factor in that slimmer fit, that better ANC, and that studio quality sound, it's a no-brainer. Sony took everything that we loved about the XM5 and they didn't just tweak it. They made a meaningful upgrade, not just another generation. If you're switching from a competitor, especially if your current earbuds have let you down on ANC, fit, sound, or even call quality, the XM6 addresses all that and more. And if this is your first time buying a Sony product, or it's your first time spending real money on wireless earbuds, this is the benchmark. Everything else at this price is being measured against what the XM6 does well. So here's the bottom line. The Sony WF-1000XM6 earns every penny of its $330 price tag because Sony didn't just polish last year's model. They fixed the design, nearly doubled the battery life, and enhanced the noise cancellation and sound quality to a new level that justifies that audiophile label. Whether you're blocking out a noisy commute, taking back-to-back calls from home, or you're just trying to hear your music exactly the way it was meant to sound, the XM6 delivers all of that and more. Now, if you liked what the XM6 earbuds can do, you're going to want to see what Sony pulled off with the full-size version. Our Sony WH-1000XM6 wireless headphones review is right up next. Click it right here, and let's keep this party going.